Yo,
Yo,
how's it going?
it's going great. How's it going with you, man?
It's going good. It's going good. What's awesome?
I was able to. Amy and I did the dad-daughter car repair thing this morning, so
Ooh,
that's kind of cool.
what'd you
We
fix?
we fixed the hood, that her struts, that the hydraulic pistons that hold her front hood up had worn out of gas or the hydraulics, so it there was nothing left, so she had to hold it up with one hand and check oil with the other and whatnot. So we fixed that together, which was
Are
cool.
are you very handy with the mechanics?
I wouldn't say very, but I know my way around some handy type stuff.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, last night it was like threatening torrential downpours all night, and there were a few torrential downpours. But then they let up, and so I spent most of the evening outside attempting to eat outside of the like we did like a social distancing grill situation, which was in rainstorms and stuff. And I voted not to buy a new Easy Up, which was a total error in judgment. And instead, I went into my garage and I found these old tent type structures that we had for Run Tellman Run with the big Run Tellman Run caravan project, like this giant mega weird blue umbrella thing and this other thing that's like this van awning thing, and tried to set it all up, and it was a total fiasco. We had a good dinner though, and it stayed nice and warm. The air was still like 80, even though it was kind of
Oh,
drizzling.
cool.
So we had like a campfire, and it was just kind of an interesting evening outside.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go play some disc golf a little bit later on.
Some,
Not fist golf.
I'm never gonna live that down, am I?
I doubt it. I
Oh
doubt it.
well.
I think we should start a new sport.
Fist golf.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, those little golf balls are pretty hard, though. I don't know how fun that would be.
I don't know. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways you could play it. I mean, there's there are possibilities. Right?
This is true.
All right, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about, is your business or practice more than it has become? And I think that is pretty provocative and could lead us in a bunch of different directions. I know from speaking for myself, there's been plenty of times where I know that I'm just not doing a good job of getting the vision out and communicating it to the proper audience in a way that they get what I'm trying to share and the value that I can create. And I know from firsthand experience how frustrating that can be when, when you're not effectively doing that properly. So I was wondering if other small business owners, freelancers, serial entrepreneurs, etc., or independent consultants building a practice or whatever have you, encounter the same type of things.
Yeah. So, by the way, guys, we would love to hear not only what are some of the challenges and difficulties and thoughts you've had on this, but we would also love to hear what's going awesome in your life or in your day. What's the single best thing that's going on in your
Yeah,
life right now? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you,
for
Dan
sure.
Sullivan, for Positive Focus.
Yeah.
Uh, Positive Focus is interesting because, like, I grew up going to church, and I went to Sunday school. I like sang in the choir for a little while.
Did you?
I led sermons, like um, all this stuff. And in in going to church, we would of course pray at meal times in the household. My dad grew up in like a super religious household. My dad was supposed to become a minister, right? But he became a dentist instead. And so it was expected that I would become the next family minister because we have like all these
Right.
ministers in my family. And I'm just like, I wasn't really into it. And at the end of the day, like when it came time to pray, we were just like reciting this learned prayer, and that was it. There was very little heartfelt anything to it. It was just like the ritual, and
Right.
I had no emotional connection to it. And so I really didn't like praying or quote unquote giving thanks, in this kind of a way. I never developed a connection to it. And after learning about positive focus and strategic coach from Dan Sullivan, I mean, now every time we have a family meal, or any gathering where I'm in charge of putting together a group of people, I if I possibly can, I always start it with positive focus, where everybody just talks about something great that's going on in their life, because it helps put everybody in a much better mood, right? It helps everybody to connect and actually pay attention to each other a little bit more. I think that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah. It's funny. You just reminded me of something that I grew up with, from about the age of, I guess, maybe 10 to 15 or 16. I guess I was a bitcher. And when it came time to
A bitcher.
yeah, when it came time to the family table, meals and stuff, I was always, complaining and talking about one slight or another, that type of thing, and how this isn't right in the world and whatever have you. And so my family started this process called, you have to tell me what's new and good. You have to give me, I believe it was 5 new and goods before you can give me 1 moan and groan.
Oh, new and goods and then moan and groans. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't new and good RC?
Maybe.
Yeah, new and good is what
Maybe.
they call it at RC at the beginning of a session. They do new and goods. So that's total. But the moan and groan is interesting. And I've also heard about the rose and the thorn.
Oh,
right?
okay. I haven't heard that one.
Some people find it really important to be able to complain and to air out their grievances and to just complain about stuff. And I've been training myself my whole life not to complain, because my tendency is to, and I see it in my son all the time. He's totally a bitcher. And I just think there's this video game called The Witcher, and it's like a cult classic video game. And I just am creating this fictional character in my mind that's like this comical character called The Bitcher.
I used to have when I ran the 2 Comma Club newsletter, I used to have Mr. Yeah But Man.
Oh yeah, but man, nice. You
sold
sold that whole thing to Russell, right?
I sold the domain and the trademarks, yes.
And he's pushing the 2 Comma Club hard now. Like right now, he has a hard push going for it. I saw a whole webinar about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's funny."
Yeah, he's doing it completely different than what I did back in the day. But it's interesting because he must have had this plan for quite some time, because he did not launch it. I think he bought it the IP from me like 3 years before he actually went live with it, in 2016, 2015, something like that, when he first unveiled it. And that was a good 2-3 years after he purchased the IP from me.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Russell's awesome. I have respect for Russell. He's a good guy and very funny.
God, is he just really figured it out and gotten the yeah, I mean, I can't say enough positive things about him. He's just a brilliant business person, entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I used to really enjoy hanging out with Russell at big seminar, because we got started about the same time. He bought the Mark Joyner farewell package to begin his career, and I think he even took one of Mark's software programs that one of Mark's viral software source code things that he gave away, or not gave away, but bundled in with the farewell package. And I think
I remember that
into something that launched him. And Russell for a while had Potato Gun Secrets, because he grew up in Idaho, and I grew up in New Hampshire, and so I also had grew up making potato guns growing up. And so we would talk about making potato guns, and we laughed about Potato Gun Secrets, and then he actually created an info product on it, and tried to sell it for a while. It was pretty funny. Yeah. So business.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about your business and its potential and its capability and and where it's at. So, I mean, is there a specific example you want to talk about, or do you want to fire some questions off at me, or what do you have in mind?
Well, I was just more thinking this morning when I do my morning reflection for at least a half hour to an hour minimum. And this just kept on popping up, or various subjects around this just kept on popping up. And I think that, I know on a personal level, we often, at least I shouldn't say we, the collective we, by we, I mean me.
Me and maybe you too.
I think that that it's very common for me to realize that I am so much more than what I've become. I'm so much more this deeper, or have so much more to give than I am actually contributing, that I'm actually doing in the world. And I believe that, business, at least the way that we conduct it today, is a reflection of who we are. And so I think, why wouldn't your business or practice, or a client base, why wouldn't that be also in a similar type situation? So where do you, like, it can go in many different directions. It can go in, like, how come I don't have enough clients, or how come my competitors are all running circles around me with marketing, yet I've got a much better product or service than them. There's so many different offshoots that it can go down, but I think it's the kind of the same. It's a similar piece of the same issue. You know what I mean?
I do. And there are lots of areas in which you could grow or expand, or your business, or learn new skills and so on. And it's not always clear which direction to go, especially if you're caught in comparing yourself and your business to other people's business, which is something I think everyone probably does to some extent or another. It's always funny though, because you never really know what's going on in somebody else's business, right? It's kind of like you never really know what's going on in somebody else's body. Like, somebody could look good on the outside and be all fucked up, like legitimately all fucked up on the inside, like
for sure,
all sick, or have organ problems, or have, like, who knows what kind of issues they could have. And you can't always just tell by looking. You usually can't tell, but simply by looking from the outside.
Yeah.
What I like to do is I like to admire traits and qualities and what I'll call perceived skills in other businesses or entrepreneurs who seem to have their shit together more than me, in a way that I like. I mean, there are lots of people who run businesses and operate their lives in ways that are total turnoff for me, and I would never want
to emulate that. Yeah.
But there are people who have businesses who, and I've had aspects of my businesses in the past that were really, really, really great. So I've things from my business experience in the past I want to return to, and things from my business experience in the past that I don't ever want to go through again, ideally, right?
Yeah.
So
I think we have certain limits, and I think there's like three major categories, right? Like when we start off, we're the rainmaker, right? Well, we've got to make it rain, and if it's to be, it's up to me. Then we move into the duplicator, the person who can duplicate the success or the systems, or looking to duplicate themselves, or the rainmaker. And then there's all sorts of limitations there too. And then we move into the fixer. And I think that those are like the evolution of any business model. And it's almost like it has to be that way to evolve accordingly. But each one of those, depending on where you're at, has a different set of frustrations. Like if you're the rainmaker, you're probably working 20 plus hours a day, 6 and 7 days a week. You're near burning out, and you're commonly wondering about things like, how come I don't have a better team, or how come I'm the only person that can do this, or, those types of things. Or if I stop, it's going to stop. I got to keep going. And then, you move from that into being able to duplicate, from start leveraging systems instead of just yourself, your time, and you can start to scale up. But then that has a certain level or cap or whatever when you're just duplicating things rather than actually having it evolve, and you're a growth duplicator. So you start focusing in on, how much bigger can I get, how much faster, what's the, and start managing the numbers, which is common. And then it becomes a certain point where it evolves into, you're the professional system fixer, where you're always, there's constantly a part of that system that is wearing out, and you've got to figure out how to pull another one and replace it and put it in there. And then just as that one is, kind of up and running and limping again, then you're off to the next one. And kind of the theme that I see very common, that I used to be stuck in this constantly was, I'll worry about tomorrow. Like I'm too busy today trying to fix the system to keep afloat. And I've got that, we were talking about this yesterday where, I had a $125,000 a week payroll, and you had a $250,000 per month overhead.
Yeah.
And when you've got those kind of pressures pushing on you, you worry about tomorrow. Today, I got to play system patcher upper, and I got to be, Franken systems. I got to be producing the next piece. The problem is that we don't stop to realize that we said that yesterday and the day before that and the day before that, and that it's always going to be the same situation unless we start to evolve it and stop just duplicating, being a growth duplicator, and start to work towards, creating business assets that can evolve into and be sustainable in a way that, they take on their own life. So
this is very interesting. So have you ever talked about the Rainmaker and the duplicator and the fixer before in this kind of way?
Nope, you've heard it here first. I've been
so sorry. I was busy typing away as you were chattering on and on, because I was taking down notes about these three fictional characters that are amazing mascots for entrepreneurs, right? And because I agree with you.
I think you probably know where I'm going with this, right? Because this is the profit plateaus. This is the income for life business development process. Right. This is the journey.
Yeah. Well, so these are three characters that are part of that journey. And so I'm curious about your thoughts on, okay, so you got the Rainmaker, right? And if most of us in most businesses start out as the Rainmaker, even if you're a investor-driven business, and even if you raise a bunch of capital in order to launch a business, I've never done that, but I have many friends who have. And hey, is it Gene? So we can't see your name, but if it is Gene or whoever it is, if you're in one of our Facebook groups and you're saying hi, please let us know who you are. But you're probably Gene. I bet you're Gene. Are you Gene? I think you're Gene. So anyway,
I'll find out soon.
The idea here is that we all start out, like if you're starting a company, if you are the person who's the driver, if it was your idea, if you decided to start the company, okay, if you're the leader, then you're the Rainmaker. You need to bring money in the door to start one way or the other, right? However you do that within your business model. And I also agree with you about the duplicator, because in very short order, any good Rainmaker realizes that A, getting some other people to bring in revenue would be really good. And B, there are a whole bunch of other things that need to happen in the business that, like, I can't keep up with right now. And I need more of myself to go around. I need to duplicate myself in some way, shape, or form to either do certain things more or to fill in where things aren't getting done. Right. And so that makes sense. And the fixer also makes sense, because the duplicator, like once you start duplicating, basically you're setting up systems or people processes in your business to take care of these things that need to be done, that you're able to see as the rainmaker, as the leader. You're able to notice, oh, well, this is an area that needs some attention. This is an area that needs some attention.
Right.
And you can set up technological processes to deal with some of those things. And in many cases, they involve other human beings taking care of these types of things on a regular basis, right? But with the fixer, as you move into that fixer role, first of all, some people suck. Many rainmakers suck as fixers. Like they're often not the same people. But as you move into that fixer role, or you realize, okay, now we need to fix, maintain, and even improve upon the systems that we have in place in the business. As you mentioned, it is easy to get stuck in that space of just constantly going to fix system to system to system. And at what point, what's the next piece? What's the next way to move beyond that fixer role to ascend into actually being able to grow the business in a strategic way from a higher level? What's the next role? What's the next thing that opens up?
Well, I've been trying desperately to open up a file that I've been working on, and so that I can kind of show this to you. Let me see if it'll work now, so that I could explain that.
I saw it pop up for a second.
Yeah, it was the wrong one. Now I got it, though.
Okay. Hey, Gene. I assumed it was you. It was great to see you. All right, so I'm going to turn that on. I only got half, so should I shut you off?
Yeah, can you shut me off? Assuming that I can still...
Yeah, we'll have to try it and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen to your audio. Hold on. All right, are you there? So I totally can't hear you. Can you try turning your audio on your secondary screen? And then maybe what I can do is turn my camera off. Okay, here's what we do, dude. So I'm going to turn you back on. And do you have a button where you can switch your camera off?
Yes.
All right, do that. And now we've got full screen, and we... Oh, wait a second.
No, we don't.
We don't. Oh, hold on.
Can you make the thing full screen?
Can I make the thing full screen?
Yeah, it'd be very exacting now, huh?
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. We got some powers here. There it is.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
So I can do picture in picture, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I probably do.
Oops, you just cut out. I don't want to lose you.
Oh, yeah. All right, there we are. All right, so I'm just getting used to the settings on this, guys. Sorry. All right, I think everyone can hear us and see your screen with the income and the leverage.
Okay, I'm hopeful, and I'll make this better at and bigger, and we'll get better and more adept at explaining this in the future. But so this is my anybody that's familiar with the Income for Life business development process, where you have three different, the big revelation that I had when I came up with the Income for Life process back in 2003, 2004, was that there's three different types of business leverage. And most of us get stuck in the first type of leverage, which is trading your time for money, right? And then we graduate into, at a certain point. Do you think, Tom, I should go a little deeper on there, or do you think that's enough?
I think it's enough.
Okay, so you're trading your time for money. Well, this is where I would now call it, what I'm evolving it to. When you're in this category, you're the rainmaker. You're the chief cook and bottle washer, right? And it's your vision, whether you're raising capital, whether you're, it's still up to you to communicate the vision, to enroll people in the vision, and to do it.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you zoom in at all? It's just, if you can't, it's no big deal. It's just that I have really good vision, but I imagine people might have a hard time reading some of that. That's zoomed out. Yeah.
You know what I might be able to do?
No, I don't know what you might be able to do. What might you be able to do? You know what? Oh, there it goes. Oh, let's see. We got Jean. We got Jacqueline. Hello.
Here, continue to chat and let me see if I can just pull up the actual rather than the presentation. I'm going to try to pull up the.
Jacqueline says, "Which executive are you using?" I think you're saying which system are we using for broadcasting. Right now, we're playing around with Restream.io, Jacqueline, and the reason that we are playing around with Restream.io is because it allows us to push out to several platforms at once, including multiple, because Joshua and I are streaming together, we wanted to be able to both push out to our personal live streams simultaneously. But then we also wanted to be able to live stream into groups and or onto pages so that we could easily turn our live streams into ads down the road if we so desired. So this is a way of beginning to create that kind of bank of videos that are able to then turn around and be not only scaled with ads, but get more visibility on personal profiles and be used as great content for our lists and in our group, right? So that probably makes sense because you've been following this stuff for a while. But Jacqueline is like on fire. She's our #1 99 days spoon bending queen. She's been doing videos for like 107 days, 108 days. She specializes in psychokinesis and bending spoons with the powers, the limitless powers of your mind. And she's just been cranking on the videos and doing a great job. Really, really great. Good to see you, Gene. Good to see you. Maybe you guys should do a team up. Here, let me turn the spotlight on that, and then we'll, if we shut our camera, here we go.
Have to make that full screen or whatever.
Yeah, and then we can shut our cameras off. Well, because it's vertical.
That's not helpful.
Yeah, I think you should just go back to the way you had it before. Oh, that's good. That's better. And we can just, yeah, that's fine. You can just do it that way. That's good. And we can see it better for sure.
Okay.
Okay, back to the Rainmaker.
All right, so what we have going on here is a failure to communicate now. All right, so we've got income today where you're leveraging your time down here. Then at a certain point, though, you run out of time, no matter how valuable your time is. The problem with the Rainmaker quadrant alone is that when you're only leveraging time, all of us only get 168 hours in a week, and nobody gets any more time. So either you put in more hours of that 168, or you make the hours that you put in more valuable, right? And that's the only two ways that you have to work with, so to speak, when you're operating within the income today category of Rainmaker.
Yeah.
Then what ends up happening, though, is that we learn to transcend that, especially if we've had any kind of success as an entrepreneur, where we become a growth duplicator. We were talking about that earlier, right? And that's what I would call income tomorrow for stability. But now we start to leverage something different than just the time. We learn to leverage systems. And in this case, the first step, if you will, in that process is what I would call the growth duplicator. And then also, though, you notice this gray box around the whole thing here before we even graduate into the income for life part of the equation of the business development process, where we leverage something entirely different. But the income for life business development process is when we get to the growth duplication stage, now we're leveraging systems. But there's also the third one up here is where, like, both of these combine, the Rainmaker, the growth duplicator, and then here is, I opened up the wrong one, of course. So let me see if I can open up the next one with ease. Did that open up?
Not yet.
So it's the old one. All right. Let's see if I open it from inside of this. Are you seeing that? No, you're not seeing that, are you?
Well, I'm just seeing the one you were on before.
All right.
Yeah, you'd have to share a different version of the screen or whatever.
All right. let
bum,
me
bum, 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 bum. Jacqueline's on day 108. 108. Jacqueline, what have you learned in 108 days of live streaming? What's your best thinking on that question right now? 108 days of live streaming. How has it changed your life? Bum, bum, bum. What do you got going on? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Consistency pays. What do you mean by that, Jacqueline? What about consistency pays? Boom. All right, Joshua, you're on.
all right, did you want to finish with Jacqueline?
Well, she's going to respond in the comments in a little bit, so we can
Okay.
circle back. Yeah.
All right. So what we've got obviously with the gray box here, which is like the end of what I would call linear leverage, right? Because we've got really all of these types of leverage, that the Rainmaker, the growth duplicator, the Frankenfixer, these are all linear type leverage, as opposed to compounding type leverage or exponential type leverage, geometric growth. And so this is really the new body of work that I've realized in the last few months, is that how this all plays into the original Income for Life business development process is that it all lives here. So I believe that what we've got in terms of when we're getting started and we have any kind of real struggles, that we're frustrated with plateaus in our business and various different things that we're having a tough time breaking through that ceiling on, whether it's marketing related or otherwise, that we wind up in a situation where we're trying to we've gone to this point, we've grown to this point, and linear leverage is no longer working. And once we hit this point, we are at what I call the compounding crossroads. And if we continue to try to push forward, through the same type of leverage that we've been doing up to this point, in other words, when we get to this point and we're constantly just Frankensteining different pieces of it together, we've got proof of concept. We've got proof of concept of the Rainmaker portion of it. We've got a working business model. We've got proof of concept that we can duplicate it in terms of systems and that type of thing. But now what we've done is we're continually playing catch up and trying to get more and more systems, and that becomes a limitation of the combination of the type of systems that we're leveraging and our time, or the Rainmaker's talent and capabilities. And so there's a point where this just stops wearing out, so that like you can't juggle enough balls. You can't keep those plates spinning enough times, because when you've got the proof of concept, you've got the prototype, you've figured it out, both in terms of the actual business model working, and then some of the growth systems and growth duplication. And now what we've forgotten, though, is that we're just playing fixer. We're just playing the fireman. We're constantly treading water. And the problem is that anything that we try to duplicate now adds more water. It's like giving us a bucket of water on our head, and for us to overcome, rather than allowing us to transcend that and actually break it apart. So what I find happens is that once you reach that big dot in the sky here, the compounding crossroads, as I'm calling it, you have two choices. Either if you continue to use linear leverage at this point, then what you have happen is that on one side you've got the results that you see. Yeah, damn. I wish I had this on the slides, because that would be much better. Because then I could move to the next slide and show you how this all comes into play. But basically, if you want to move beyond this, you've got to change the type of leverage that you're deploying. It can no longer be linear leverage, and you've got to graduate, you've got to change, you've got to transform, you've got to get past this zero sum point. And what I mean by zero sum is that when you continue to use linear leverage at this point, there's only so much, and eventually what's going to end up happening is that your income is going to dissolve backwards. And even if you've got tons of leverage, when you start to deploy it, what ends up happening is that your income goes less and less and less and less, because you're spending all of your time up here replacing parts, trying to fix the growth duplication systems, trying to fix all the various components of it. And it's all transactional in nature, all of this, right? So meaning that, if you've got a funnel that's working and it's going gangbusters, you got compounding, you've got, and then all of a sudden it stops working. Well, then what do? Well, you find what's the next hot funnel that is working now, or the next piece of the funnel. Well, maybe it's webinars now that I got to do instead of Facebook groups or whatever it is. And so you replace that piece with whatever appears to be working in that fashion. So what you're doing is you're duplicating somebody else's success, as it were. And, we get into this fashion where we're no longer building a business. We're no longer building a true business model. We're now in a position where we are basically just following the leader and whatever works. And so the parts end up wearing themselves out much faster and faster. And you start to see this where what you're doing falls apart faster and faster.
Yeah, it's real interesting, dude, because how when people are caught in just hobbyist mode where they're like an info marketing junkie and they can't ever actually pull the trigger on anything and make money and follow through because they're afraid of getting started, which like most people that are just at entry level are stuck there permanently.
Right.
That's just the deal. Big frustration and honest, a lot of people, this is very common, is the whole shiny object syndrome kind of thing. Most people have heard of this idea, right? It's just going from thing to thing to thing before bringing anything to completion. But then at a certain point, those that do make money and actually start businesses figure out how to execute on things, right? And so we actually take some of those ideas like, damn it, I'm done being poor. I'm actually going to do this. And some people do that very quickly. And for some people, it takes them a decade to pull their head out of their ass and then do it. And now you're executing, right? And you're making money and you're building things and your business is growing and you're having success. But that tendency to chase the magic bullet, right? That tendency to be going after the next fad, the next trend, the next thing that is on the rise. First of all, it's advantageous in many ways because there are new technologies that come out. There are new marketing methodologies that come out all the time. And using different marketing methodologies in your business often do show a considerable short-term lift. So how do you, when you're trying to build your business strategically in the way that you're talking about here, how do you do that in a way where you're not just following shiny objects, but you're at the same time taking advantage of the new advances and the new technology and the new methodologies that do come out to actually create the business you're trying to build instead of just playing follow the leader?
It's a great question. And I believe that when you get to this point of the compounding crossroads as I have here on the screen, where on this side you've got day trader type arbitrage, on this side you've got asset arbitrage, right? That's what needs to have happen. And the problem is, though, when you're not thinking holistically as the business model as a whole, right? And I should say that this is absolutely vital. This is the process. There's no getting around it. It's not like it's good or bad that you've reached this point or haven't reached this point yet, because it's just part of the journey, and that's what I was trying to explain. Not doing a very good job because of the technology issues and such, but the concept of rapid prototyping, it's so important. So it's important when you get to when you're in the rainmaker mode, when you're trying to figure out your business model. It's important when you're starting your system duplications, when you're trying to duplicate your growth based systems, that you've got to do rapid prototyping. And that's where you start experimenting. You start seeing what pieces you're Frankensteining stuff together. And it has to be that way to have proof of concept, to prototype the business model out and to see where it's going. Right. Once you have that, though, now you have to start to think like holistically on the business model as a whole. And what are you working with, and what is it that you've got to that you're trying to accomplish with your business model? And that means, like, as you start to replace certain things or start to look at the different parts and the different technologies that are coming out and the different things that you're want to see if it works within the confines of your business model, you have to start to take notice of how that one piece works. It doesn't work in isolation. It works as a part of the whole ecosystem, and your business model is an ecosystem. And so oftentimes when we get stuck just following and duplicating and Frankensteining one piece together over here, rather than building a true vision now in from the ground up. And sometimes it does mean that after you've got your prototype together and your proof of concept, now you've got to take it to the next level, where it means like, okay, so here's the pieces that are working. Here's the different elements. Now what I've got to do is kind of build a system in a way that is a business asset that can run with or without me, that leverages that can grow with or without me, that can evolve on its own. And that's what I call a continuity income asset. And you stack enough of continuity income assets or enough CIAs together, and you wind up with an income for life business marketing system that continues. It's not that things never wear out, but you're now building it in a way that supports your overall business model's true vision, and you're not just Frankensteining a piece in isolation. You're saying, okay, this is what I'm trying to put into place, and this is what I'm trying to build out. So I don't know if I've answered your question or confused it more at this point. So tell me, why don't you direct me or redirect?
I think yes.
Yes, what?
No, I mean, there's a lot of really, really good stuff, and it's a lot to think about too, because depending on where people are at in this timeline and how much experience they have, it can be kind of a brain bender, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm very curious, for those of you watching, is where do you feel you're at in the 3 stages with your business? Do you feel that your business is at the income today stage, where you're in the rainmaker stage, where you're going out and you're hustling and you're bringing in all the dough? Do you feel that you're in the income tomorrow stage, where you're in the duplicator stage and you're starting to duplicate yourself, your own abilities to create systems and or other people in the business in order to do the things that either you can't do or you can't do as much of as you'd like to? Or are you moving into that next phase, right? The fixer, where you're fixing the systems that you've built in the past, or beyond? Are you creating actual assets and they're actually running? Because we have several people that close personal friends, some students who are in that phase of their business. And it's interesting because every time you start a new business, you have to go through the process again, right?
For sure.
So it's not like you just do it once and then you're good, right? Very.
If you've had a previous success, that can screw with you too, because then you're tempted to skip steps,
right?
And you can't. I mean, the rainmaker, the leveraging of your time, putting that in, that has to happen. There's no shortcutting it, and I've tried, and it's just a lesson for frustration, right? Like, because the people that you want to outsource it to, or the systems aren't there yet, and so you outsource too soon, and now all of a sudden people are feeling you're frustrated with them because they're not doing what you believe they should be doing. They're not getting the results that you could get because only you can do what you can do when you're in the Rainmaker stage. It's reliant on your vision, your talent, your drive. And, that has to be, and that's the only way that you'll be able to duplicate or to create a system around that. You have to figure out what that looks like underneath the dimensions of the new business model.
And a lot of that is the difference between how to inspire yourself to take action and how to inspire others, because often it's radically different.
Sure.
Leading and inspiring.
Jacqueline just said that she thinks she's in all three stages. Then I would say, Jacqueline, if you think you're in all three, then chances are real good that you're in the system fixer phase, because that's where all three come into play, and you've maxed yourself out. You've maxed you out. You can't duplicate yourself anymore underneath the present set of circumstances, and that's a great place to be. Congrats.
Right.
And if you're not getting some sort of consistent income out of it, then what's happening is that you're probably evolving and devolving between the Rainmaker and the system duplicator back and forth there, and occasionally making it into the system fixer category, or you're jumping to system fixer too fast.
Right.
And you're not, you don't have enough of the Rainmaker in place. And so just judging by, the evolution of the journey since I've known you now for 100+ days, you started off with plenty of success under your belt and plenty of experience under your belt, but you then had to go back to the drawing board and get back into consistent action. So you took Tillman up on his 99-day live stream challenge, right? And you had those kind of results. So that's Rainmaker mode, right? Like where you're rebuilding momentum. And, then still in Rainmaker mode, though, is how you're monetizing that following, how you're, enrolling people into your psychokinesis Zoom virtual, PK parties, how you're doing that with, consistency. And then have you moved into the systemization portion, like so that you're not required to, do all the different moving pieces yet, where you can start to systemize and duplicate some of those things in place. And right. My guess is that you may be moving more too fast into the system fixer phase of the journey, because you've been there before and you know what that's about. And so we it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, Tillman, or what I was talking about earlier, when you start all over again, you have no choice but to, give your time and be that Rainmaker, be the driver.
That's right. That's right. Well, so we have a few people that are going through this journey right now, right? And so Jean, it just says Facebook user, but Jean, we always joke around with Jean. I'm working on less me doing the work and more systems and pod artwork. The reviews I've been getting are encouraging, and it just got cut off a little bit. I'm not quite sure. What's pod artwork? Do you have any idea?
I don't. I was thinking maybe she was talking about my stuff.
I was thinking maybe NPod artwork. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious what you're talking about there, Jean. It's great that you're starting to work less on you doing the work and creating systems, which is really great. And I know you're duplicating a lot of your stuff, and you're creating art, and you're live streaming on a regular basis. Jean is one of our NPod students who are actively selling art. So she has an Etsy store and makes tons of art and sells
print on demand. That's what that is.
That makes me way more sense. Thank you.
I was confused by that because I was assuming that was Jacqueline that said that, but it was Jean. No. Got it. Okay. Sorry. Wrong.
So Jean is doing a great job of relentlessly doing videos on a regular basis, and then driving people into her group and building her email list, and then turning around and promoting her artwork to those people. So that's really, really, really cool. Jacqueline, however, sorry that your comment got a little cut off here, Jacqueline, so I'll read the whole thing. Says, and again, for those of you who are just tuning in, Jacqueline is our resident spoon bending expert. I am getting better at the broadcasts, which means doing Facebook live streams, I believe. Having structure is good. Starting to see more following. About $3,000 in income, and I need to do more follow-up and still straighten out tech issues. Awesome. Yeah.
Textbook too. I mean, like you're solidly in both the Rainmaker and kissing into the growth duplication mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what I would really do, Jacqueline, I believe, without talking with you more, is simply weekly free webinar. Okay. Daily Facebook lives. Spoon bending group, right? You do your daily Facebook lives on your personal page. You drive them into your spoon bending group. You build the email list. You do a weekly webinar. You sell something at the end of the webinar. That's it. That's your whole thing. That dramatically reduces tech issues and will dramatically improve your ability to sell stuff. Highly recommend. And I was thinking about you, Jacqueline, because I know that you have been around your business has been around for a long time, and it's gone through a few different stages in the personal development kind of training world and meditation training world and all the different things you've done, and that you've done hundreds of these spoon bending parties, which is which is proof of concept in the real world. Like, if you just really started doing more of those and doing them more frequently, it'd be great. And eventually you might find that, like, you create a 10-minute sales video that's like the thing that sells the weekly spoon bending party for $49, and that could be the thing. Your weekly webinar may be paid, and that $49 spoon bending thing that people take with you could sell $1,000 psychokinesis mind over matter mastery system. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah, she just said, "Great weekly webinars. We'll do it."
Good, and but the point is, sell something every week on your weekly webinar. Drive people to join your weekly webinar from your live streams that you do every day, and drive people to join your group, so your group starts generating people who are interested in spoon bending. So you have a natural pool of people to promote your weekly webinar to, who are already interested in spoon bending every single week, right? So that's the model. And so great. Thank you, Jacqueline. Awesome. Glad you're in motion, and very cool. Very cool. Well, Joshua, it's been a very interesting call today.
Yeah.
Been very fun. Guys, if you have any more questions or thoughts about anything we covered today, about growing your following, about growing your list, about increasing the responsiveness of your list, if you need help ascending from any one of the stages to the next stage, and you like the type of message and things that Joshua and I are teaching, we'd be more than happy to have a chat with you about whether or not we can help you to move to the next stage in your business. So if you want help, then please, number one, go and click on the link that Joshua just posted to the penny a day cliche article. Give that a read. And at the end, there's a business assessment that, if you're called to take it, I would encourage you to take it. It's going to ask you some questions that are going to get you introspective and really get you looking at where your business is at right now. And then if you end up wanting to talk about how to move it to the next stage, Joshua and I can get on the phone with you, have a private consultation. We'll see what's what. And if we can help you out, then we'd be happy to talk about that. So please go ahead and check that out. And if you've already read the penny a day cliche and you're ready to go, you want to talk with us, shoot me a private message. We can chat a little bit about your business and see what makes sense. But I would still really recommend that you read that article and the link. And then, Joshua, we should go and manually post that link in all of the various live streams, because I'm not sure when we post in Restream like that, I'm not sure how.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. That's what I was just looking at. That's why I was kind of off to the side there. But yeah, I can do that if you like.
You know what I see actually on that note is in your comment, which I assume you made that, right? Where you put the link in there?
Yep.
I see a check mark next to Periscope and both of our YouTube channels. But what I don't see is anything about Facebook.
Facebook.
It may be as simple as
I just posted it in the group. Let's see.
and do it on the Facebooks, on our individual pages and in the group. So,
Right. Let's see.
for whatever reason. Cool.
On my page, and then what? Your page, right?
Yep. Awesome.
All right. Timeout. All right. I think I just posted it on yours as well. So that should do all 3 spots.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. Enjoy your weekend. Stay socially distant. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
Over and out.
Bye.